Hey everyone, and welcome to the wild world of risk. Now, I know what you're thinking. Risk? Sounds boring. But trust me, this isn't your average lecture on spreadsheets and statistics. We're going to dive deep into the fascinating world of risk, where one wrong turn can send you spiraling into chaos. Think of it like that time you tried to build a tower out of spaghetti and marshmallows. What could possibly go wrong, right? Well, in the business world, those marshmallows can represent things like strategic decisions, operational hiccups, or even financial meltdowns. And let me tell you, when those towers crumble, the consequences can be real. So, buckle up as we explore the different flavors of risk, from the strategic blunders that make you go facepalm to the compliance nightmares that keep you up at night. We'll be using some of your favorite memes to illustrate these concepts because, let's face it, who doesn't love a good meme? Plus, it's way more fun to learn about risk when you're laughing along the way. So, grab your thinking caps and let's get started. Alright, let's kick things off with strategic risk. Now this is the kind of risk that keeps CEOs up at night, pacing back and forth in their fancy slippers. It's all about the big picture, the long game, the where do we see ourselves in 5 years kind of stuff. Imagine you're a company that makes, I don't know, those little umbrellas that go in your fancy cocktails. You've been at the top of the mini umbrella game for years, but then, disaster strikes. A competitor bursts onto the scene with, get this, glow-in-the-dark mini umbrellas. Suddenly, your once thriving business is facing an existential crisis. You didn't see it coming, you didn't adapt, and now you're drowning in a sea of glowing cocktail garnishes. That, my friends, is strategic risk. It's about making the wrong bets, misreading the market, or just plain old sticking your head in the sand and ignoring the changing tides. And the consequences? Well, they can be dire. We're talking lost market share, plummeting profits, and maybe even having to sell your collection of vintage mini umbrella molds on eBay to make ends meet. But fear not, because understanding strategic risk is the first step to mitigating it. By analyzing your industry, keeping an eye on the competition, and being open to new ideas, you can avoid becoming another cautionary tale in the annals of business history. So, the next time you're faced with a big decision, remember the tragic tale of the non-glowing mini umbrella company. Think strategically, adapt to change, and for goodness sake, don't be afraid to add a little glow to your product line. Alright, let's talk about operational risk. This is the kind of risk that's less about grand strategy and more about the nitty-gritty day-to-day stuff that keeps a business running. Think of it like this. Strategic risk is deciding to build a house, while operational risk is making sure the foundation doesn't crack and the roof doesn't leak. It's about all the things that can go wrong in your processes, systems, and even with your own people. Imagine for a moment that you're a company that delivers those adorable singing telegrams with people dressed as giant bananas. Business is booming, orders are pouring in, but then, disaster strikes. Your banana costumes get stuck in customs due to some bizarre import regulations. Suddenly you've got a warehouse full of tone-deaf delivery drivers and a whole lot of disappointed customers. That, my friends, is operational risk in action. It's about those unexpected hiccups that can bring your carefully crafted plans to a screeching halt. We're talking supply chain disruptions, IT meltdowns, even a rogue coffee machine that floods the entire office. The consequences? Well, they can range from minor inconveniences to major financial losses. But don't worry, there's hope. By implementing robust systems, investing in employee training, and having contingency plans in place, you can minimize the impact of operational risks. So, the next time you're tempted to cut corners or ignore that nagging feeling that something might go wrong, remember the tragic tale of the singing telegram company and their banana costume debacle. Stay vigilant, stay organized, and always have a backup plan. Because when it comes to operational risk, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Or in this case, a whole bunch of singing bananas. Alright, let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, money. Or more specifically, financial risk. This is the kind of risk that makes your heart skip a beat when you check your bank account after a weekend of online shopping. It's about the possibility of losing money, plain and simple. Now, financial risk can take many forms, from investing in a company that's shakier than a Jenga tower after 5 rounds, to lending money to your friend who swears they'll pay you back soon. Imagine for a second that you're a company that makes those inflatable pool toys shaped like giant avocados. You've just sunk all your savings into a massive order of avocado-shaped inflatables. convinced that this summer will be all about lounging in a giant pit of plastic avocados. But then, disaster strikes. A heat wave hits, and suddenly everyone is flocking to the actual beach instead of buying your inflatable avocados. You're left with a warehouse full of unsold inventory, a mountain of debt, and a newfound appreciation for the fickle nature of consumer trends. That, my friends, is financial risk in all its glory. It's about the possibility of making bad investments, mismanaging your cash flow, or just plain old having bad luck in the market. The consequences? Well, they can range from minor financial setbacks to full-blown bankruptcy, but fear not, because understanding financial risk is the first step to managing it. By diversifying your investments, monitoring your cash flow, and not putting all your avocados in one basket, you can minimize your exposure to financial risk. So, the next time you're tempted to invest in your friend's cryptocurrency scheme or bet your life savings on a horse named Lucky Avocado, remember the tragic tale of the inflatable avocado company. Be smart, be strategic, and always have a financial plan, because when it comes to money, it's better to be safe than sorry. Alright, let's talk about compliance risk, the kind of risk that makes you want to curl up in a ball and hide under your desk. This is the risk associated with not following the rules, whether it's laws, regulations, or even your own internal policies. Now I know what you're thinking, rules? Where's the fun in that? But trust me, when it comes to compliance, ignorance is not bliss. Imagine for a moment that you're a company that makes those delicious, gooey, rainbow-colored slime kits that kids are obsessed with. Business is booming, but then, disaster strikes. It turns out that one of your slime ingredients, let's call it sparkle dust, wasn't properly approved for use in children's toys. Suddenly you're facing lawsuits, fines, and a public relations nightmare that's stickier than your own slime. That, my friends, is compliance risk in all its glory. It's about the consequences of not dotting your I's and crossing your T's, of cutting corners and hoping for the best. The consequences? Well, they can range from hefty fines and legal battles to irreparable damage to your reputation, but don't despair. By establishing a strong compliance culture, staying up to date on regulations, and seeking expert advice when needed, you can navigate the complex world of compliance and avoid those costly pitfalls. So, the next time you're tempted to skip a step in your safety protocols or ignore that nagging feeling that something might be amiss, remember the tragic tale of the slime company and their sparkle dust debacle. Stay informed, stay compliant, and always remember, it's better to be safe than slimy. Alright, let's talk about reputational risk, the kind of risk that can spread faster than a viral cat video in the digital age. This is the risk of damaging your company's good name, its brand, its reputation, that precious fragile thing that takes years to build and seconds to destroy. Imagine for a moment that you're a company that makes those adorable talking teddy bears that record personalized messages. Business is booming, but then, disaster strikes. A software glitch causes some of the teddy bears to start spouting out random, nonsensical phrases, including some that are, shall we say, not suitable for young ears. Suddenly you're facing a social media firestorm, with parents outraged and your once cuddly teddy bears being labeled as possessed and demonic. That, my friends, is reputational risk in action. It's about the power of perception, the speed at which information travels online, and the long-lasting impact that a single misstep can have on your brand. The consequences? Well, they can be devastating, leading to lost customers, decreased sales, and even difficulty attracting and retaining top talent. But fear not, because while reputational risk can be scary, it's not insurmountable. By being proactive in managing your online presence, responding swiftly and sincerely to crises, and consistently delivering on your brand promise, you can protect and strengthen your reputation. So the next time you're tempted to ignore a negative online review or downplay a customer complaint, remember the tragic tale of the talking teddy bear company and their PR nightmare. Be vigilant, be responsive, and always remember, in the age of social media, your reputation is everything. So there you have it, folks. We've journeyed through the treacherous terrain of risk, from strategic blunders to reputational meltdowns. We've laughed at memes, learned from cautionary tales, and hopefully gained a newfound appreciation for the importance of risk management. Remember, risk is an inevitable part of life and business, but it doesn't have to be a deal breaker. By understanding the different types of risk, assessing your vulnerabilities, and implementing effective mitigation strategies, you can turn risk from a dreaded foe into a manageable challenge. Mastering risk is key to making smarter decisions. Stay informed and follow for more insights.